Laura's back. And what are you going to talk about today?
I am so excited to be back in Italy. I love it here.
But?
No, but I love it here. I've had great experiences, and I always go home with fun stories and meet new people. Like last night, now I have more friends in Italy. Every time I come, I make more friends.
I was trying to remember last night. Shh. Antonio and Grace, now they're fantastic.
Yeah, they were wonderful.
Very good duo as well.
And lots of fun games.
Lots of fun games. Complicated. There's an even more complicated one, which is, you could even do this in English. You take a city like Nashville, for example, and you have to give it a meaning. So, for example, Nashville, I can't think now, is a tool you use to cook pasta.
Oh.
But it has to sound real. That one was obviously terrible.
Okay.
I have no imagination. but there's plenty. They've got plenty of games. It's a shame not here long enough. Go fill your life with games. But something strange. Well, I can't say ST, you'll notice. I'll say strange all the time. Yeah, strange from Manchester.
You said it?
Yeah, with pain. It's painful. Go on. So what's the...
We'll get you some what's acetaminophen called over here?
Paracetamol.
Which is some
It's called that everywhere, just in America, no? Paracetamol. And so go on, what's one of the strange things that you find?
When I had, of course, the first time you go to a country, then things, you see more different things. And then when you come back, you're getting used to it. But the first trip that I made over here in the 90s was just amazing. Every day it was something different. So like the first time I went to the Vatican,
right,
I had to use the bathroom. And so I found, I didn't speak any Italian. I had to ask people where it was and then go find it.
And
then
there
figure
was
out
one.
how to do the lock, and everything was different. So I get to the stall and I open the door and there's no toilet.
They'd stolen it.
And I'm like, have they stolen it? Am I in the men's room? What's happening here? And then I went out and I checked everything and I came back in.
Do you have a toilet?
I went in a different stall.
Yeah, you asked the person.
And there was a hole in the floor too. There.
Yeah.
It was like a nice tiled square hole in the floor.
They're not normally that nice. And the women's
this was
cleaner.
This is at the Vatican.
Okay.
So I guess they had
You're
nicer
lucky to
holes
find one
in the
in a
floor.
church here, In England, in churches, we have toilets that public can use. In Italy, it's difficult to find.
Oh.
When I ask them, I need the toilet, you're in a church. And so, there's 300 million people who come in here, I need a toilet. And so you did what with this hole?
Well, I did what I thought I should do,
Did you look online?
I went
YouTube
on. Well, there was no online. It was 1994. I didn't have a phone to look things up.
I know.
I had a book and a map. It was very, very old school.
On the map.
The first
this
trip.
is a toilet.
So then, I went on about my business, and then another time I was in a restaurant. I went to the toilet, and there was another hole in the floor. But I will say, I've been to Italy many times since then, and in any city, I have never seen holes in the floor since. So I think that must be a thing of the past.
Normally, like the small places have it as well, but in the Vatican, I wouldn't expect them to have a hole in the floor.
I think they added toilets after that.
The first time my parents came to Italy, I actually gave them a map. I think they still have it of the city with real toilets marked on the map.
That's very useful.
Because my parents said, "No, I'm not using that. I'm not pooing." Also, this is really vulgar. Well, it's not vulgar. It's natural. It's life.
Everybody poops.
How do you aim in a hole you can't see? Also, keeping your balance at the same time, because God forbid I'm going to touch one of them walls. You don't know what's been on those, or what is on those walls. Talk about COVID. People don't want a vaccination for COVID. The vaccination for toilets. No, it's disgusting. Yeah, but it's complicated to do. It is complicated.
It was an experience.
An experience you don't want to do.
Correct. Correct. I'm happy that there are toilets now everywhere.
Was the toilet paper?
Yes, there was.
Was it that
in one of them?
Tracing paper type
yes,
stuff?
It was tracing paper. Yes. So that's another lesson that I learned the first trip is always have some napkins or some paper, some
Real
Kleenex or something in your
paper,
backpack.
Yeah, at school when I was in school in England, I remember they used to have tracing paper as toilet paper, and I'm thinking, why? Because, without being horrible, poo doesn't stick to tracing paper. Have you ever tried? We talk about everything in these podcasts. But it's educational.
Very well-rounded.
Very
diverse.
What's rounded? Not Nashville, it's rectangular. Yeah, but no, in fact, this thing that in the past were these weird things, and also now everything is getting a bit better than you think. We've only been here 3 days now. Did you find a hole yet?
No, I haven't seen a hole in years.
So anybody with a hole out there? No. That's a totally different podcast. That's the After Hours podcast. Anybody with a toilet with a hole, change it to a real toilet. Well, all toilets have a hole, but if your toilet is only a hole in the floor, buy one. They're not that expensive. Like
I don't know what they are here.
No, they're not. Like
dead cheap at home.
€60 you can buy a toilet.
Oh,
they're not that bad. Yeah, there you go.
That's really cheap.
Mm-hmm. So well, if we're not talking about food, we're talking about poo. Good.
It's all part of the process.
Still connected. Hopefully not forever. Okay.
Well, speaking of food,
go on.
That was another thing that I learned on my first trip to Italy. I went with my friends to lunch, and we'd ordered some pasta because you're in Italy, and
the only thing they eat is pasta, piadina, polenta, anything with a P.
Oh, that's prosciutto, prosecco.
Have you never noticed?
No, I didn't.
They don't have any food that begins with a P. Obviously they do. I'm joking, but if you think about it, panini, polenta, pasta, pizza, piadina, prosecco, prosciutto. Parma ham.
Grana pala. Anyway.
Lasagna. Tiramisu. Tiramisu made out of pears. Oh, go on.
It's better than coffee.
So what happened with your pasta?
So I ordered spaghetti because it was safe.
Did you throw it at the wall to check it was cooked?
I did not. I did not throw food at the wall.
Why not?
In a restaurant.
It wasn't you actually in a restaurant.
I was trying to keep a low profile
Italians
and
don't actually
not
do that.
embarrass my Italian host.
Just Italian holes. But do you do that in America? You throw the pasta on the wall to check if it's cooked?
Yeah. No, I mean, Americans don't, but if you know, you know.
It exists.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, but in Italy, they don't do that.
Oh.
I did it once. My friends were like, what the hell are you doing? Checking it's cooked. Throwing this spaghetti at the wall. In fact, since then, I've not really ate spaghetti. Trauma.
Would you?
Trauma.
Well, so I was traumatized. It's a miracle that I have ever eaten spaghetti since then.
Go on, what happened?
Well, the food came, and then my friends across the table from me
who are still your friends.
They're still my friends, luckily, because I didn't fail. It was a test, and I passed.
They love testing.
They're talking like not angrily, but it's a very spirited conversation they're having with each other, facing each other, but they're gesturing at me, and so I know they're talking about me. I have no idea what they're saying.
It's a bit difficult to go in a different language.
It's like
they're not talking about the weather.
Yeah. And
what was the
I
test?
was like, what did I do something wrong? Am I, is there
had you started
sauce on my
eating
nose or something? No, we hadn't. They were bringing the food.
If there was sauce on your nose, it was a bad
right
way
before they brought the food.
There you go.
And my friend that I grew up with, who's American, said, he thought because you were American, you were going to cut your spaghetti. Like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
As if. And they were arguing for that. Because he was telling her to not. He was asking her to ask you to not do it.
I guess. I don't know if what he was saying, but he thought I was going to cut the spaghetti because I was an uncouth American. And I can't deny I was an uncouth American,
I was just about to say that, Bob.
But I didn't. I'd actually never, in my defense, in the pasta, I had never cut my spaghetti before.
But now you do it all the time.
But no, but now I'll never cut spaghetti, and I tell other people not to cut spaghetti. Yeah. So I was like eating the spaghetti, like, what else can I do wrong here?
And the thing with the spoon, did you try that?
I tried the thing with the spoon, and it just makes it harder to do.
It's another thing that they look down on.
So I gave up the spoon. I thought, they brought me a spoon. They brought spoons. So I tried it with the spoon. But everybody had a spoon.
For the sauce.
Maybe. Okay. And I was like, The other thing I've had to learn to do here is eat shrimp. Okay. Like de-shell shrimp with a knife and fork.
Right.
So another day, my friend's mother-in-law had made us this amazing seafood risotto. I think it was risotto. Anyway, it was amazing. And there were all these giant prawns in it that, still had the shell on. And so my friend is sitting there, we're in the kitchen, and the mother-in-law's she and the mother-in-law are talking, and my friend's just like quickly deshelling these shrimp and putting it on the side and eating. And I'm like, I'm afraid to tell, I can't, at home I would just pick it up and
and
but
swallow it.
Now it's in sauce and you can't. And so,
yeah, of course it's covered. Yeah.
So I had to. I was like, how is she doing that? So, and then she gets like through with hers, and I've eaten a tiny portion of mine, and she looks at me and she's like, "What's wrong? Do you not like it?" I'm like, "No, it's delicious. I just don't know how to
eat it.
Do that like you're doing it." And she laughed at me. It was great.
She laughed at you?
Well, not in a bad way.
Oh, okay.
She was like, "Oh, I just thought everybody knew this."
Crazy American.
So those are my food traumas.
We started from
Clearly
the toilet,
they did not.
from the toilet and back to food. Again, we're getting a kind of theme here. Yeah. All right. But you also said the thing about you also said about the fact that Italians sound like they're arguing.
Oh yeah, I thought like I'd done something horrible when they were talking about me, and then even years later in the U.S., they were in the U.S. and I was visiting them, and they were making dinner again with the food. And
they were washing the dishes, still connected to food though.
Yeah, they were about to prepare dinner, and they get into this huge screaming match. Huge, like raised voices, angry tones, all in Italian. I have no idea what they're saying.
In your house?
No, I was in their house. And so I'm sitting like, there, it was a little kitchen. There was a little bar. I'm sitting at the bar watching them, and I'm just sitting there like,
You want the floor to open up and swallow you?
Yeah, pretty much. So the next day I say to her, like, do you guys argue like that a lot? Because I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, like there's domestic violence happening here.
Yeah.
What's
going on behind closed doors? Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean? I said, well, I mean, last night you had that big argument. She's like, we didn't, no? What argument? I'm like, when? And I'm like, it's right before dinner. And she goes, we weren't arguing. We were trying to decide to make what to make for dinner.
Yeah.
I was like, really? She said, yeah. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, no, they do. They always sound like they're arguing. Always. I always say I understand Italian perfectly because I live here, I speak Italian. And when I listen to people, I understand what they're saying, so I know they're not arguing. But they went,
You guys sound like you're arguing all the time.
Yeah, but I am.
It stresses me out. Oh.
There's a difference, yeah. So these are a couple of things you find strange in Italy then.
Those were the most surprising things probably.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll speak to you again.
Thank you.